With fire, as well as acrobatic, as well as other things, it's the interesting thing for me is to train to be able to do things that shouldn't be possible and to show people something that maybe they have not seen before.
Hi guys, I'm Johnny from CineD, and today on my table is the new Sony A1.
This is a CineD review, supported by B&H and CVP.
So the A1 is finally shipping, although in limited quantities. And this is because, we hear from our site sponsors, B&H and CVP, that the camera is extremely popular. And that's one of the reasons it's being back-ordered. But anyway, we have a copy of it here, and I was very, very curious to see how the camera is functioning in the field. So I took it for a short spin, and I shot a mini documentary with it. It's going to be a very short review because you already know all the technical data. And I think what is really important is to hear more about how the camera is actually functioning in the field. At least I'm happy to share how it worked for me. So let's watch the footage first and then come back and talk a little bit about the camera.
Inspiration comes from strange places sometimes, and I think it's just all you can do is be open to that you don't miss it and be present. My name is Sonia, and I'm a person who likes to experiment with creating things that might surprise people. Oh, there's something inside. As long as I can remember, I've played the violin, and then through that, of course, discovered other music styles, other instruments, but the violin's the one that's been there from the beginning. Well, when I was really young, we used to go for a walk up the road to the park when I would see my father, and we both had a tree, so we would go to visit it, and maybe it just stayed with me. And yeah, I've always loved weeping willows. I don't know, it's just a really peaceful place to come. Yeah, it's just very centering somehow, I don't know, it's nice. I definitely like performing and creating stuff, so if that makes me an artist, I guess I am then. So fire for me is a different way to connect with an audience. I can get a really different reaction from the audience when I do something with fire than I can with violin, and it's really interesting to play with that and how it connects. Pushing your limits and pushing your technique to its limits, that's where it's interesting for me. How to combine violin and fire together. If the music already has a story that has fire involved in it to represent that, I use it to represent the music in some way, some things that I see in it, or sometimes I'll hear the music and immediately see fire going with it. It's still a lot of experimentation, that's a lot of my practice is. It's more about they're equal and one supports the other. Yeah, it's a bomb. I don't have a toaster, which is why we fry the bread on here, but it's fine. Not sponsored.
Such a sportman, active person like you.
Yeah.
Coke.
Can't be perfect. This is an Australian, as they call in Australia, smashed avo.
So what is an Australian like you doing in Austria?
Good question. When I finished my bachelor in Australia, a Bachelor of Music, It's quite common as a classical musician that you would explore, other parts of the world. I think it's good as an artist to do that in general. I had a little bit of a scholarship from the Sydney Conservatorium of Music to do that. But I was touring a lot at that point as well, so the only auditions that I could actually attend were in Vienna. Yeah, it's just a really international vibe. There are a lot of artists around who have energy to experiment, and that's a really great thing. How is it for musicians? I think, it really depends, on the environment you grow up in. I did not come from a musical family. My parents were not musicians. But in terms of wanting to play in traditional orchestras, I really think I'm so lucky, so fortunate that I do have a little bit of the best of both. Like, I do sub in some amazing orchestras. And now what I'm trying to do is combine that with all this other stuff too. Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, easy. The progress is slow, so patience. So it's balance. I think that's the key, for me at least. When you're in a movie and you forget everything else except that movie, and it feels like so much time has passed or something, or you suddenly snap back into reality. That's what I want to create in a show, that it takes people out of reality. So when I have fire in my mouth, I make sure that I'm laser focused. You can't see it, so it's a feeling. You rarely even know how much vapor you're collecting, so it is all about feeling. Another part of your brain is also, okay, how's it looking? What's the flourish to do in the end of it, and things like that. So there is multiple layers of things going on. When I have my back to the audience and I put fire in my mouth and I hold it in my mouth and I feel their energy, they're with you, they breathe with you. You hold them for that second, and that's something really special for me. In the end, all you can do is create something that you yourself would enjoy watching. You put it forward. Once it's on the stage, it doesn't even no longer belong to you. It's up to other people to make up their minds what they think about it.
Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I think this is also the place to say, please don't try this at home. Don't try to play the violin at home if you still want to have some neighbors, and of course, don't try to put fire in your mouth. Sonia is a highly trained artist. She knows what she's doing, and please do me a personal favor, don't try this at home. Now, this is also a good place to say thank you to Sonia. We really had a great day together, and I think you can see this in the footage. And also a huge thank you to Luciano. He's our in-house editor, and his ability to take whatever I shoot and throw at him and create an engaging story simply is amazing. So, Luciano, thank you very much. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Sony A1 and how it's performed in the field. So I would like to start and say that the camera really performed very well. I had once an issue with the overheating, at least the symbol came up, but the camera did not shut on me. That was during interviewing Sonia. Other than that, if I have to compare it to the Sony A7S III, which is of course another very popular camera, I would say the following. When it comes to resolution, of course, this one is much higher. It can shoot video up to 8K 30p, and it has, I mean, the sensor size is the same, it's full frame, but the density is much higher. That means it's also a really capable photo camera, and that's what we also hear from colleagues who are working with the camera as photographers. So, you know, it's like taking two bodies and combine it into one, and that's why the price is like 6,500. So it really depends. If you're shooting only video, maybe the Sony a7S III might be good enough for you. But if you are a full content creator, meaning that you need photos and videos to your work, the Sony A1 is absolutely a tool to consider. But talking about the Sony a7S III, let's just highlight the differences. The Sony a7S III, of course, is like a night vision device. It also has a swivel LCD screen. This one, the A1, it's only tiltable. That's one thing to remember. But on the other hand, when I compared both LCDs, this one is brighter and less muddy. That means, you know, Sony is now quietly replacing some of the LCDs in some of the cameras. This one is already coming with a new version of the LCD, so it looks, yeah, if I compare it to the a7S III, this is just a better LCD screen. The other thing is, because the Sony a7S III has a limited number of pixels on it, you cannot crop to Super 35 when you're shooting in 4K. This camera can do this, yeah? So if you are switching to 4K, you can also have a crop mode, meaning you can shoot in Super 35. And this is important for any of you guys that also have some 35mm lenses. Now, when it comes to IBIS, if you work in 4K with the Sony A1, you can have the normal stabilization and also an active mode. This is somehow compensating also digitally. There's not so much picture quality loss, so in some cases I would love to work with this. It just stabilizes and makes the whole image when you run and gun much smoother. When you shoot on 8K, the active mode is not active. Probably the camera cannot compensate on this in terms of computing power. It cannot do optically and a digital one. But this is something to remember, and I would say that if I need to imitate tripod shots, then the IBIS is perfectly fine here. If I have to run and gun, maybe I need to do a bit more practice, or yeah, just be aware that the images are not very, very fluid. Other than that, what can I say? This is simply an amazing tool for content creators. I really liked working with this. I didn't see any issues, and I think the price, 6,500, for anyone who is actively and professionally working with such a camera for producing high-quality photos and high-quality videos, I think this is a very interesting tool. Another thing that I would like to briefly talk about is the lenses that I worked with. This is the 24, 40, and 50mm new prime lenses from Sony. I think for the price, those lenses are really good. They're working so good with the camera. It's amazing, and it keeps the package very, very lightweight and small. I mean, if you think about it, cameras are really advancing very fast, and when you look at the lenses, you think that sometimes the manufacturers are kind of stuck, still producing really big lenses, and this is not always working very well in terms of weight distribution and also usability with the mirrorless bodies. So those are really kind of future-proof. They are full frame, they are rather fast, and I have to say that I was really happy working with them. One nice thing, yeah, this is the front part of the lens. One second, I'll just show it. It goes here, yeah. The nice thing that this particular one will fit any of the other two lenses. So why is this so nice and why this is so important? Simply because that if I attach anti-filter or a variable anti-filter to it, I can really swap between the lenses, and with half a click, that will be attached. I don't have to screw on, screw off the anti-filter, yeah? So this is really nice. The diameter is simply the same, the weight is the same, the size is the same. So yeah, I think in that regard, Sony did really, really well. And those lenses are very easy to use with the camera, and I guess with any other camera from Sony in that range. So as I promised, this is a very short hands-on review. I just wanted to share with you how the camera worked for me, and I have to say that I really enjoyed working with it, together with those Small lenses, really, absolutely, it's just me, the camera, very intimate, the person I'm shooting, and I didn't feel limited in any way. So if you are a content creator, I think this is a very highly recommended camera. Otherwise, guys, see what you do, see how much money you have, try before you buy if you can. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you very soon with another fresh review. Bye.
This is a Cinity Review, supported by B&H and CVP.